Good morning, everyone. As you can see, we have a beautiful sunrise today, and it's just really calm as the tide is coming up, and it's the perfect morning to cast your plugs at the sod banks and see if there's any striped bass feeding. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to maneuver the boat over a little bit and get our pole out and our lures ready and see what happens this morning. Beautiful morning. This is one of the virtues to not being able to sleep. When your shoulders hurt or your wrists are numb or something like that, it gets you up early and you're out of the house by 5:30 and ready to look at a sunrise at 6 in the morning from your boat. So let's just turn the boat around. Actually, we won't even turn it around. We'll keep it at this angle. Yeah, that is what you would call God's sunrise. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. All right, so you're going to lose that for a second, and then you're going to get something a little less beautiful because you're going to see me. Oh, look at that. So we're going to drift over here to where that water's opening up a little bit, and we'll be able to cast in there and see what's happening. So let's turn the camera back here. And we'll move it over here. That should get me in the view. Let's see what happens here. All right, here I am. Good morning. All right, we're drifting a little too weirdly, so we're going to move the boat. All right, that looks like a good drift. Let's get some quiet. We'll shut the engine off and get some quiet. Let's see what you guys are looking at here. All right, that looks good. We get our fishing rod with our surface plug on it. Our popper right there. Reel up a little bit, and we'll see what happens. Give it a nice cast. All right. Now let's get some action on that lure. Pop it. There we go. You have to have that lure sort of pop across the surface, making noise. It's sort of like a fish jumping out of the water. And it pops. Let's see if I do it this way. We'll see if you guys can see it. So you pop it like that. Pop it. Pop it. You can hear it coming out of the water. And that noise and the little action of it jumping out of the water attracts the fish. So we'll cast out that way. Try to get it up a little bit. And then pop it. There we go. Boy, knock on wood. There's not even any bugs out here right now. You know? Let's see. We'll move this over a little. Lift it up. Let's see what that does. Okay. Something about the tranquility in the morning. Just let you start your day out with peace of mind, meditative thoughts. It's a little difficult when you're talking out loud at the same time, but I have to share this with you because it's too good to keep to myself. Yeah. Yeah. I just heard something breaking water down a ways from me. So the fish are out here feeding. This is the time they like to feed as the sun comes up. And as you can see, the current is barely moving right now. Top of the tide is until like 7:30. It's 6:10. So I would have thought the water would have been moving a little more than this. It's actually got me confused because the inlet's over there and the tide's coming in, so I would think I would be drifting that way, but whatever drift I have, it's as if the tide is going out towards the inlet, which is weird because it's an incoming tide. As I said, high tide isn't until 7:30 in the morning. So we're just going to work these lures and have a little fun. Have a little fun. Is there anything chiropractic I could talk to you about today? I don't know. When you look at the sky like that and the sun coming up and those clouds coming over and the beauty of the water, it just makes me think of that one topic we talked about, the power that made the body. Universal intelligence that did all this beautiful stuff. God, nature, whatever you personally call it. We'll call it our higher power. And it's definitely a higher power that creates something like this. I like those words, universal intelligence, higher power, because there's always, no matter what your faith, no matter what your beliefs or your non-beliefs, there is an intelligence to everything. There is a grand scheme. When you look at these things like this, and you have a tide moving in and out all on its own. You have a sun coming up, the sun setting, and clouds forming and clouds moving. I mean, all this stuff happens for a reason. And that is universal intelligence that controls and directs everything in our world and everything around us and our bodies. And it's one of the founding premises of chiropractic, naturally, is that universal intelligence. The power that made the body heals the body. So that same power that created this beautiful morning is the same power that's beating my heart, and letting my lungs breathe, and allowing me to appreciate the joy of all this through my eyes that were created for me. So it's just a pausing moment where you think of stuff like that. And it gives you, a chance to reflect on something greater than yourself. All right, I guess that's enough philosophy there, huh? Let's get back to fishing. All right, I think I'm going to move the boat to the other side, into the inlet over there, and there's that little opening that I like to fish when the tide's coming up, because you can really pull your boat into a small area. So we'll give that a whirl. I don't know why I got water in my boat. But let me shut that camera off for a second, and then we'll just take the boat around. So everything's about timing, because as you can see, the cloud cover came in and completely covered up that sunrise. So we got out here in a nick of time so you can see that sunrise. Now we just have a big swath of clouds covering where the sun was coming up. But we're pulling into this little tiny area here. Where do you see this? It's a little tributary that comes off the inlet, and normally you can't get in here at all because it's only 2 feet of water, 3 feet of water, and it goes back far, all the way into those marshes. I've really experimented and took my boat way further than I should have. Would have been hell getting stuck back there. But right now the tide's coming up, so I'm feeling pretty confident. And we'll see if there's any bass that have swam back here to feed. Because with the higher tide, the bait fish come in, so the bass, it's shallow, it's easy pickings for them. So we'll give it a whirl. Let's see what we got here. Let's put this back here. Whoop, I just spilled my tea. Don't want to do that. Alright. Let me get my fishing pole. I do think I'll grab a little tea. Oh, that's good. Not to give a shameless plug, but these Yeti mugs, man, they'll keep your drink hot for hours, or cold, whatever you prefer. Let's see. Pretty cool when you could just look down and see the bottom, especially when you're wearing these polarized glasses. It just makes everything so much more visible. Out a little. trickiest thing about casting to the marshes is, you know, if your cast is not perfect, which mine aren't all the time, you know, if it's just a little too strong, that's the one you got to worry about, because then you hit the grass and the hook gets caught on the grass and it's just a nightmare. And probably in this type of situation I could probably get the boat close enough to grab it by hand, but most cases if it gets really hooked there, you got to cut your line and you lose your lure. And that's one of the parts of fishing that can get expensive, because lures aren't cheap. Actually, nothing involved with boating or fishing is cheap. Just one of those hobbies that costs money. Alright, I got a little bit of a tangle here, so we're just going to untangle. That's the other thing about fishing, is there's plenty of room for what we call angler error. Angler error. You know, you tie a knot wrong and you lose a lure, or you do something wrong, you get a tangle. And the worst is when you tie a knot the wrong way and you have a fish on, and then everything just comes undone and the fish swims away. That is definite angler error. So this area here is just looking void of species. Your telltale signs is you want to see ripples in the water and, you know, fish sort of popping out and feeding and things like that. So when you don't see that, it's time to move on. So let's go find another spot and we'll be... So we'll try this spot a little bit and then I'll let you guys go, because, you know, fishing doctor can ramble on a lot. But today is going to be an interesting day, because I'm fishing in two parts today. I am fishing this sunrise to cast the sod banks and see what sort of action it is. Probably going to do this till around 7:30, and then I'll head back home and I'll get about a 45-minute hour workout in, and then I'll take my bike over to the farm market, and then hopefully by 9:30 I'll be back out on the boat and I'll be fishing. But this time when I go fishing, we'll be bait fishing and we'll be fishing off the bottom. And I'm going to try to target a couple other species. You know, as I said, the fluke have been moving out to the ocean. So it's odd that you're going to get a keeper fluke right now. I mean, you'll get the random one, and I guess that would be a fluke, pun intended. But what I'm going to target is what they call junk fish. These are the fish that nobody wants. You catch it while you're trying to catch your fluke, or your weak fish, or your stripers. And junk fish are your skates, which are your rays. And Oh, there's something jumping out there, so we're gonna see if we can hit it right there. Oh, I got it. See, look, angler error. Something with this line caused that to happen. And now I'm missing a crucial spot where a fish was. And I got like what we call a rat's nest. And I don't like that because this looks rough here. Oh, man. So, if I reel that in, that'll be bad. Alright, so there, now I got it out. So anyway, the skate is like a ray. You know what you would think of as a stingray or something. Look at that. See, that's not helping matters at all. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to cut that, pull it in by hand, and retie it. So whatever fish was jumping over there due to angler error is now swimming away from me. So I just got to get my scissors. And good little fishing scissors. They're a good thing. So we're going to cut that there. And we're just going to make sure the line's coming in the boat. We're pretty much going to pull the lure in by hand. And wouldn't it be a kicker is if as I'm doing this, I catch a fish. And that's happened before. Actually not caught a fish, but I mean, I've had to cut the line while a fish was on it and then had to reel it in by hand. So what we're going to do here is we have a leader on here with a little tiny swivel. So we're going to cut that off. Okay, save that. Uh-oh, I just got bit by a greenhead. So the hits keep on coming. So anyway, the skate has wings on it. And the wings are very tasty meat that nobody tends to eat or do anything about. They just get their skates and they throw them back. But with a little research, they would have found that skate wings are basically sold as fish and chips in the UK. And you can also take a little punch, not punch to drink, but like a cookie cutter type of punch. And almost lost the greenhead wipes. But if you take a punch, you could punch the meat out into little bite-sized pieces, and it's like scallops. So that's why I would keep a skate. The other fish that people don't eat and they throw back are sea robins. They're a pretty cool fish. I wish we would catch one. I'll have to show you. They got wings like a bird. They make a funny noise when they come out of the water, and they're really beautiful fish, and they're strange looking. So sea robins is another junk fish. And then dogfish, or spiny dogfish, are the sand sharks. And people think of them as a nuisance, but they're actually a very edible fish. But there's a trick to it. If you catch the fish and you just put it in your fish box and then bring it home and go to clean it, and then you eat it, your meat is going to have very foul taste to it. It's going to taste, not that I've tasted it before. I can't say I have, but